Hey everybody, Ethan here, and you're on my side of the room. It's been a while, but I'm here to talk about a mixer I bought on Temu recently. Uh, you've probably seen Jamie and I talk about Temu for other reasons on this channel, and so now here's more of a deep dive into a single piece of equipment. So people out there might be wondering, what's the deal with Temu's musical instrument selection? Well, it's pretty hit and miss, kind of miss. Relative to, say, Amazon. But it's a thing to keep an eye on, especially with them being new. They're constantly adding new things in the way that, say, Amazon or eBay or whatever adds new things, in that Temu is just the marketplace. So I'm noticing that whatever these sellers are that come to them and say, we want to sell stuff on Temu, then sure. So, and it's kind of like fulfillment by Temu in a way, is what I kind of get the impression. Everything comes shipped from China. It comes fairly quickly from China. Jamie's ordered other things from China that have to do with their nail polish stuff, and it can take weeks, if not months, to get her stuff. Whereas with this, consistently, it's been about 8 or 9 days per shipment. We were just on a cruise recently, and I was counting on my Temu shipment to show up after we got back, and it showed up while we were gone. So it was like lightning fast, again, for China. Part of it was they weren't using like whatever methodology they sent my first shipment from. Now it's all coming from a thing called laser ship, and yeah, it's quite laser shipping. Because again, it was something like 7 or 8 days where I was counting on that like 10 or 11 day window that they normally quote. All right, so here's this, we'll say 3-channel mixer. The reason I bought it was twofold. One is it has 2 XLR instead of 1 like my Joyo Momix has. But this is such a great little unit. And then you record in through USB. Actually, not record in, I'm so sorry. You record in through whatever inputs, but you can actually export through USB to your phone. Whereas with this, I don't believe you can. Now, maybe you can, and I just don't know it. There is this weird button on the back that says PC or MP3. I have no idea what this is supposed to be telling me. But it's got phantom power, just so as you knows. It's got gain, it's got EQ, it's got your volume, it's got effects. These effects are awful. Just don't. You can mess with it if you want. The slightest bit, a little bit of turn on this is too much. The echo is too much, and then their reverb is not reverb. It's just like another delay. It's just trying to like be a different kind of delay. It's simulating reverb, but it's not reverb. So what I really bought it for was this USB input. Because what I normally use when I'm practicing at home on the bass and singing is my phone, my Galaxy 6 phone that's been relegated to just being an MP3 player. And because of that, and because of the age of this phone, it's the battery life is not great. And after a while, it's like, can't I just get a USB stick and then it's not a battery life thing anymore? And you can do it, but the problem is, like I put 11 songs on a stick just to test it. And it works, but the problem is it's literally track 1, track 2, track 3. And it looks like one of those old digital watches from the 80s where it was like that flickery screen that it was like LED lights that were like really thin to make the numbers. So it's kind of like that. So I'm back to kind of using the phone again, which then begs the question, like, then why don't I just stick with the Momix and it works? It just doesn't have 2 USBs is all, or 2 XLR. I keep saying it. This is my second take doing this, and I keep making the same mistake. Oh well. So this is kind of just like a backup unit in a way. I'm using it, but I'm kind of like using it very grudgingly right now. It does not have a lot of power, and again, as discussed, it's USB powered. It's more like USB underpowered. There are gain knobs for the XLRs, and then gain for channel 3, which can be a few things. It can be the USB stick, it could be your left and right ends, or it could be RCA ends. And then that'll get you this extra gain knob to bring up the volume so that it's actually like audible, especially when you've got XLRs happening with, say, singing and bass. But if you just go straight into the aux right here where they have a little phone symbol, it's terrible. It just has its own just volume knob, and there's no gain supporting it, and that's it. So it's rugged, it's metal, so that's nice. I mean, this is, plastic, but it's held up, and I keep just kind of tossing it in my bag, and it's still here. But overall, it's one of those things where, would I buy it again? No, I wouldn't. Because it turns out I really don't need it, because this doesn't really get me anything above and beyond like what I already kind of do. I could find some other kind of way to run a set list or something and run it through any of these other inputs. And that's certainly valid. Maybe, I don't know, like maybe I'll buy like a better MP3 player or something to use that. This is my thing to plug into. But again, we're back to, then do you really need this when you got this? I like redundancy though. And so to that end, this retailed for $50. And Temu's always doing deals and discounts and coupons and whatnot. So you don't ever really pay full price unless you're just, for some reason, desperate to pay full price. I don't know why you would when they're throwing all these discounts at you. So all I know is I paid less than $50 for this, but I couldn't begin to tell you exact numbers. The ads always have a brand name of some sort here. This has no brand name whatsoever. I don't know if you care. I don't care. This is very much brand name Joyo and something we've heard of and know about, whereas this is just mystery electronics from China at the end. So with that being the case, it's kind of like this is probably doomed to like end up in the closet at some point, where I'll just trot it out as a backup, or someone might say to like, hey, do you have an extra mixer I can borrow? Yup. But this just feels like hoarding talk. It's like, I need it for the, what if this happens? Like, okay, Grandpa, like this needs to go in the got junk van. But I don't think it's junk. I just don't think that it's something that I personally need. So this video very much is not sponsored, if you didn't know that. I couldn't tell from the way I'm talking here. If you're more serious about your equipment, you're probably going to at least start with Amazon as your starting point, if not any other possible retailer or vendor like Sweetwater or Reverb or even eBay or God knows what else. But again, if you're kind of wondering, like, so if you buy stuff from Temu, what do you get? Well, this is an example. So again, said it was a rugged unit. It's rugged. I like it, that aspect about it. It's a good utility player, I guess, in a pinch. But again, it's just, this is so much more versatile and so much more portable than this. I mean, major form factor differences here. That, again, this is very hard to justify. Other than if I didn't have this, then that would be a different conversation. Anyway, I hope that this was in some way informative and helpful for you. Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, the whole bit. Anyway, keep learning, keep playing, and I'll catch you in the next video.